Today we're going to jump all over the map a little bit and talk about some really illegal bad stuff for black hat email marketing. First, can't neglect some of the most basic stuff that everybody should know about, which is collecting fake opt-in email lists. And one example to do that is through a series of YouTube videos and articles. Now, basically what you're doing is incorporating the techniques of the white hat method, offering something really lucrative, free information, free consultation, etc., etc. However, it's not really free. They're opting into, well, they're not opting in. What you're doing is you're grabbing legitimate, clean email addresses that you can use to mail to. So there are plenty of scrapers out there for YouTube videos that you can grab to download videos. I'm not going to play this video, but in one of the examples that I used earlier for how to seal and coat your driveway, that would be a great video to grab and redirect people, upload it to YouTube again, and redirect people to a similar looking page and grabbing free information as a means of grabbing for them to opt in to grab free information. Take it a step further and use the actual offer and actually email them the free offer so that they think they're getting something legitimate. This takes a bit of work to set up, and I don't recommend setting this up unless you have a bit of time, but is a surefire way to get a clean email address from a user. And I know a few people that have gone and done this extensively, and they have quite the wheels of free information, free services, opt-in here, which all connects back to a black hat emailing system in which they have a steady stream of clean emails coming in. However, not too practical, because it's a time thing. It does take a bit of time. There is a much quicker way excuse me, to grab email lists. And we can do this simply by using Google, and we can take the search parameter email list file type with a colon and either use file type :txt or file type :xls. So we'll try XLS. And what this is doing is telling Google to only search for that specific file type. Now, file type XLS, if you're not familiar with it, is through Microsoft Office or Excel. It's an Excel spreadsheet file. Now, the reason that these files exist on the web is because there's a lot of sloppy developers out there. Or maybe companies want to exchange information or have it available to download for other people within the company. There's any number of reasons. It's basically a security hole that's open. They take this information, they put it on their server, and they don't think nobody can find it. But you can, quite easily. So if we go to Google, we type in email list file type XLS, we will get, once the page loads, 5,000 results that contain a series of CSV files, some of which, or most of which, contain email addresses. So I'll click this first one, and I will log out of this proxy, which is something I'm going to talk about after. I'll click this first one, and it automatically takes me to a download, because Firefox and Chrome and Internet Explorer, these browsers, automatically say compute. Well, this is not a web page, it's a file, so let's go ahead and download it or open it. So in this case here, I'll open it, and this is Contact Database Fortune 1000 Companies. This study was updated November 2012 by BreakthroughEmail.com. In this case here, I've got a lot more than emails. I've got a phone number, I've got a CEO name, And I've even got the CEO email. So here I've got a generic email and a CEO email and the website that they're associated with, and an address, city, and zip code. So quite the list of information. And just to give you an idea, I'm going to scroll down here to show you how many emails I've got. If I can get that over a bit more so you can see. There we go. So there's quite a bit, and this is just doing one simple search. Now obviously I can go on and on and on and grab more email addresses, but the long of the short of it is it's a quick way to acquire a lot of emails very quickly. Now the problem with this is that we don't necessarily know the source or the niche. So in this case here it would be a lot of CEOs, I guess, if you were to use that specific column. So one thing I like to do to check the credibility is to actually go to the domain. Because if there's nothing really associated with it, if the domain is just blank and it's just a CSV file, then it's probably something I wouldn't use. So this is the domain associated with the email list that we have. And Breakthrough Email, I don't sponsor them, I don't know them, I don't know anything about them. They just happen to have a CSV file with a whole whack of emails on it. And I can see here that obviously this person is selling a product. And they've obviously gone through a lot of time to make a customized video. So chances are that email list is, for all intents and purposes, legit to some extent. It doesn't necessarily mean that there's no spam traps associated with it. But I can tell, just based on the credibility that I can see here through my own judgment on the main domain, that this list found on this site is more likely to be legit compared to some random CSV file or some random text file that I find on the web. Let me show you how big some of these list files can get. I did grab this link here. And I'll zoom on this for a second in case you want to copy it down. BestEarnPoint.com/Sajid/email/business. The percent sign is short for and. 20 emails business, 20%. Percent is just a short form for the and sign in HTML. So anyways, hopefully maybe you can pause the video and grab that link if you're inclined, because it has got quite the list. This was just one hit with search phrase that said something like email list file type :txt. And with this particular list, I've got, I believe it was over 100,000 emails. I will copy it and paste it in Dreamweaver here. And that will take a second because it's very large. Hopefully my computer doesn't crash. Okay, while that's loading, there's other search parameters that you can use. So I use something very generic. I just used email lists file type. So why don't we say email list dogs or pets XLS file type XLS, because you obviously want to keep the file type :XLS or file type :TXT there, because that's where the lists are going to be hidden. I've thrown in the word pets. I've got 1,300 results for the XLS, and for TXT I've just changed the file type. I've got 21,000 results. There's probably a lot of email lists hidden here within these actual search results. And for one reason or another, Dreamweaver has crashed, but I believe I have the list up here on another page. Oh, there it loaded. So there is over 100,000 emails here in this list. That's a lot of emails. Pros, very quick email lists. You can literally have hundreds of thousands, if not millions of emails in a very short span of time. Cons, we don't know the source. We can't account for the credibility of the source. We can look and say to ourselves, okay, this is a credible site. It looks credible. It wasn't created by an anti-spam organization where they could put in spam traps. But that doesn't necessarily mean as well that there are spam traps within a credible looking site's email list. So there are obviously cons with it too. But nevertheless, a different source that you can play with, and you can email too through compromised servers, which we will be talking about in this video, and I'll be showing you how to do that as well. Mafia Wars is a online game in Facebook. I'll zoom in on this in case you want to download this link as well. And I have no idea how many emails are associated with it right now, but there are a ton. More than likely, there is some sort of compromise, I would assume, at this point with spam traps. And I'm sure people have used this list over and over and over again. But nevertheless, a very large list of emails that you can find online. So pause and grab this link right now if you feel like grabbing their email list. Once you go to this page, it redirects you to Mediafire, and you've got a download link for a ton of emails. Or you could be smart and just use my program, Social Email Extractor. Let's talk about hacking cPanel. cPanel, for all intents and purposes, is sort of a master system that controls all these various aspects of a server. So if you want to create an email account, you do it through cPanel. If you want to create an FTP account, you do it through cPanel. If you want to create a database, you do it through cPanel. You can do all these wonderful things. And the cool thing about it is that you have complete control of the server once you have access. And I'm going to show you how you can find them online for free and use other people's servers to mail through. This is very black hat stuff. So this is where if you grabbed an email list off the web, it wouldn't matter if you had a spam trap in there or not from the other sources that I talked about, because it will never come back to you. It'll come back to the server. So one way to do that is to simply Google username, password, cPanel, file type, txt. Now the file that we're looking for is a default file that's created as a result of cPanel being installed. So basically what I'm saying is you'll call up a hosting company and you'll say, I've got, once you're VPS, they'll say, great, we've got you set up. When you create cPanel, it creates this text file with all your login information. It's a huge security flaw. And simply Googling this information, you'll find all these text files with all these logins. Now, not all of them work, and some of the domains will probably be down or redirected or changed. But if you start searching and trying the username and passwords that are clearly here, you'll find a login and you'll be able to control the server, install Innerspire or Dangerous Mailer or the revised version of Dangerous Mailer that I made onto the server and start mailing. So I just click the second link here and I can see at the very top, and I'll zoom in, there's our cPanel login. There's the link, there's the username, there's the password. Now, not all of these will work, but let me just give this a try and we'll just see what happens here. Okay, so this server's not found. No problem. In this case here, they give you FTP details as well, which is very nice. Like I said, hit and miss. Here's one thing I want to mention quickly. Anytime you want to access a cPanel account, you simply use the domain and you type in /cPanel. And that's it. But let me give you an example of a working one, since the ones that I found online are not working. And that's more or less what is going to happen. You're not going to find the information and it's going to work the first time. However, I guarantee if you continuously try, you'll find the login page. And then you plug in the information that's available on these sites, username and password, and you will be able to log in. It is a bit of a, what's the word? It's a bit of a bug hunt, I guess, but I'll put it this way. Anytime I've ever wanted to find a cPanel account, I've just gone through these pages, and lo and behold, one is active and the username and password work. Here's just another example of information that's just out on the web. Now, if they're smart, sorry about the zoom button here. If they're smart, they'll change it right away. Now, this particular result, I've got 65,000. I think at most I've probably tried 20 or 30, and at that point I found one where I was able to log in, which was pretty cool. But I don't think it's necessary to go through all of these and try them all so that we could find a cPanel to log into. I was hoping to just get the page, but that's fine. The tools are right here for you to be able to do this. Don't do it just yet, because I'm going to show you how to hide, protect yourself before you even touch the cPanel server, so that you're completely untraceable. And that will be later in this video. Here's another search parameter that you can use. It's hasCGI, and notice there's a capital C in there. And basically, what the hasCGI is or does, it doesn't really matter. It's followed by yes or no, but it's something that's provided within the text of the installation text file of cPanel. It's always going to have that phrase, hasCGI, so that if I know, it's always going to have username and password, and it's always going to be a text file. So if I copy this and go back to Google, and I hit paste, I will get 609 results with all this new account information. So I'll just pick one here by random, and I will search for hasCGI, and you can see it's highlighted here in the top left. And I've got the domain name, and remember, just grab the domain name and go /cPanel. And that'll take you right to the cPanel page, if the website is online. This one looks like it's going to time out. So, again, a bit of a bug hunt, but definitely a pot of gold at the end of the tunnel. And here, obviously, if that page were to load, would be the username and password that I would try against it. Now, with your searches, you don't necessarily have to say hasCGI. You could say any, obviously not the domain specific information, but you could say new account info followed by this, because this is pretty standard with the text file associated with the cPanel installations. But you're pretty safe just using the two that I've outlined here, and I'm going to show you how to compromise installations of Dangerous Mailer in this video in a little bit, using the same sort of idea. So the concept or premise that we're going after here is using existing text that's already going to be there by default. Here's another example, and they're all just sitting ducks. It's unbelievable. In this case here where you see an IP address, and we do have a domain, but in the case where you just see an IP, what you would do is copy the IP and go /cpanel, all lowercase. And it'll take you to that login page. And if you do this, like I said, you'll get to this login page, and you'll be able to log in and control the server and install Interspire or Dangerous Mailer or whatever you want. And I'm going to show you what to do after you log in at the very end of this video. But for now, let's go through a few more slides here because I want to talk about a couple more things. So, obviously, hacking cPanel. I've got one more slide, then we'll get to the other stuff. What you would do is create an FTP account, use that information through FileZilla. Hopefully we all have FileZilla at this point. And you have a direct way of communicating to the server. FileZilla is an interface. It's a gateway. It's a porthole. You plug in your 3 bits of information, the host, username, password, into FileZilla, and you have direct access to cPanel. You can drop your installation of Interspire on there, and you can drop your installation of anything that you want. So we will talk about creating an FTP account through cPanel, a compromised cPanel account, in a little bit. But for now, let's talk about bulk mailers. Now, if you really don't care about the software developers out there, you could buy any mailer and do a PayPal dispute or credit card chargeback. The little known secret that some people don't know is that if you do a dispute through PayPal and it's a virtual item, you will always win. But it doesn't matter what you say, or excuse me, what the developer says, if they've logged your IP, because I've done this. I've been on the other end, and people have said, well, I didn't get it, or it was fraudulent, or this or that. This is after I've spoken with them over the phone, and, it's a DJ, and he says, yeah, I'm trying to target, clubs in New York, club owners, or people in their 20s to 30s. He talks about his niche, and I could see his IP, and then I look at the program, and it's all the email lists are all related to DJs, and he's got his website. I know it's the guy, and he burned me basically. That's why I'm very sort of religious about signing up people for Social Email Extractor at this point. Well, I do have, we'll just say, additional security measures and things to do if people decide to do a chargeback with me. But for the most part, a lot of people don't have any sort of recourse of action. A lot of developers. So if you wanted to, you could order any software through PayPal and do a dispute and get your money back after using the software for X amount of time. You're burning your bridge with them, but if you don't care, it's something you could do. PayPal will always return in your favor if it's a virtual item. Secondly, credit card chargebacks, PayPal defaults to the credit card chargeback. You'll always win when you file a chargeback through any payment processor or credit card company. Bulk mailers, compromising existing installations. So if we take this phrase, installation of Dangerous Mailer cloned version, and we just Google it, we find an installation. So let's take out this quote. See if we get a little bit more. Okay. You wrap things in quotes in Google, it brings back specifically that result. So in this case here, I have a person that has the default installation text file for Dangerous Mailer still on their server. They uploaded the whole thing. And if I go to the main directory, I'll see a login link. Now you can see all these. I'll zoom out so you can see all these different sessions. So this person has obviously used this program. I don't know this person. If I click on login, I'll get redirected to the default dangerous mailer login. Now I could go ahead and type in admin and I might have access, but that doesn't matter because I have a create access button here. So technically I could type in a new password, some remote email, and I'll show you how to use an online proxy to access that email in a second, create it and access it, and a whole bunch of bogus information in which I can change the default password to have access to the software. It's ridiculous how simple it is to compromise this software. All we're doing is searching for some of the texts associated with the mailer. Now you don't necessarily need some of the text. You could search for different file names, or I suppose get mxr.php. That would be too common. Images would be too common. These file names would probably be too common. But you might want to try different variations within the text file to see what comes up, like myfather, underpricedhost.com, underpricedhost@gmail.com, because that is written in a couple different places within the program, or different things within this page to see what else pops up. I don't recommend accessing or trying this until we talk about the proxy, which I'm going to get into in a little bit. Torrent sites and Black Hat forums are another way. The problem with these is that they're often associated with viruses. So if you do grab anything from a torrent site or a Black Hat forum, then you're going to want to be diligent about scanning the files that you download before opening them. And one excellent place to do that is a website called virustotal.com. So after you download something through a torrent site or through a Black Hat forum or anywhere that you question the judgment of, you would take it and go to this website and simply upload it here and start scanning. Now the cool thing about VirusTotal is that it gives you a variety of different results from a lot of different providers. And it's very subjective. I don't use anything that comes back with it. If it's flagged by one company, I won't use it. I don't really need to download anything at this point. But if you want to start experimenting with different mailers out there, this is a safe protocol that you can use to do that. And there are a few out there on torrent sites. Another term you can use is the word get. Now, get popped in maybe about 5 years ago now, and it just became sort of synonymous with these torrent sites, not torrent sites, but Black Hat sites that would post downloads to software. The title of the thread would be get Facebook email extractor, or get bookmarking daemon, or get software, whatever. It didn't really matter. It's just get at the very top. So when you search get and you type in Black Hat mailer, you'll see a variety of different things pop up. And the cool thing about it is it doesn't have to be Black Hat mailer. It could be anything. So for this instance specifically, I've got bulk mailer, mass email sender. I've got a copy. You've already got a copy of Dangerous Mailer, but there's one there. I've got one here called Easy Inbox Mailer version 1, Fast Mailer Pro. Now, if you're just starting out and you're not willing to jump to a program like Mailer King or Gmail Inferno, because they're a few bucks, you can acquire mailers that are already available out there and give them a shot for all intents and purposes. However, because you already have a copy of Dangerous Mailer and the revised version that I've got, there's no reason why you can't search for cPanel accounts to hack into and install them there and mail from there. So I've logged into this account. This is one of my cPanel accounts that I have, and trust me, if you're diligent, you will find a compromised version online. When you first log into cPanel, you're going to see all these different tabs on the right. It's really busy. As I can said, it's sort of the central database where you can do all sorts of wonderful things. What you want to do is search for an icon called FTP, or FTP accounts namely. Go ahead and click that, and you'll be presented with this one section to create a new FTP account. So to create a new FTP account, we'll call this Test 5, and I'll plug in any password. Remember what password you type in. Change the directory. As you can see, by default it took me to Test 5. I didn't create a directory called Test 5. You want root access, and root access is public_HTML. Go ahead and click Create FTP Accounts, and if you see a nice green box, this is account created. That means everything is good. Now, we don't know what other FTP accounts are on here, but we don't care. You can see I've got a few. But we're going to search for this one specifically, and that will show a button to the right that says Configure FTP Client. I could change the password if I wanted to, but there's no need to. When you click that, we can see automatic configuration files associated with this account. It's not necessary. Like I said originally or previously in this video, all we need is 3 bits of information. We need the host. I'll plug in the host. I'm in FileZilla right now. That's what this window is. It's going to provide me with the gateway to get into the server. The FTP username, and we will plug that in right there. And the password that you created. And once we click connect, we are logged into the server through FTP. Now this is pretty amazing. I've got direct access to everything right here. So the first thing I would want to do is create a directory and call this, we'll call it Danger. We'll double click on Danger, and there's nothing there. So I'm just going to do this very quickly. You can follow along if you'd like, if you've already found if you have a cPanel account. We'll call this when you call something index, it automatically makes that the default file for things to go here. This is called an H1 tag. It's short for header tag. So I've gone ahead and just created that in Notepad, and I've created a very, 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 very simple file. So just so that you know where you are on the server, theoretically speaking, if I type in the domain and I created that directory Danger, and I go to that folder, I should see the file that I created. So let's go ahead and try that. So I'm at socialemailextractor.net/danger/ and I can see the file that I just uploaded. So just to give you an idea of when you do decide to upload an Interspire or my flavor of Dangerous Mailer or Dangerous Mailer, you may want to create a directory so that you know where it is and you can have access to. Now that we've done that, we can do our we can install Interspire, and we can start mailing, and we can go to town and compromise the server completely if we wanted to. But the one thing that I haven't touched on yet is the proxies. Now, this can come back to bite you, because we can see right here that when I logged into cPanel, this proxy was copied, or excuse me, this IP address was copied. So when you go to search for cPanel accounts and you found one, and you go to do an install and you do all your mailing is going to come back to the server, the IP of the server. It's not going to touch you at all. You have nothing to worry about. It's going to come back to the server. However, the server has a record of your IP, so you need to protect yourself from that if you're doing all this black hat bad stuff. So the first thing we're going to do is check out what is my IP according to Google, according to the web. Well, Google says it's 173.34201, 173.34201, 165. Okay, so we've got a record of that here. Now, what we're going to do is keep this page up, and I'm going to show you this cool little program called ProVPN after I close all these windows. Excuse me, ProXPN. ProXPN. And if you Google that, all one word, you'll see the very first link here is the site. And you can get a free version. The biggest difference with the free version and the paid version, which is only $6 a month, mind you, is, in addition to missing some features here, it really is a speed thing that you'll get. Ironically, they give you, I was trying to go to their homepage to show you what it looked like, but it takes you to this page first whenever you turn it on, and it should be a green icon here in the bottom right. There it is. The lock is green. That means that I'm connected. And you've got, this is the time thing, so you've got to wait 6 seconds. There we go. Well, we don't want Bing. We want Google. Now that we're back at Google, to verify that it's working, we're going to go in and type in what is my IP. Now, originally, if we look back up here, I have the original IP as being 173.34201.165, but now that I have the software installed, I have 173.041.75. That's a safe way to go ahead and play around with looking at different cPanel accounts, because it will not recognize your IP. It will only recognize the IP of the proxy. So that's how you can get away with safely connecting and searching for different cPanel accounts, and subsequently putting your mailing software on there and mailing from the cPanel account, from that server, and it doesn't come back to bite you. So with that said, I encourage you to, well, I don't encourage anything actually, because I talked about a lot of dark stuff here in this one, but I'll tell you what's coming up in the next video. We'll be talking about SMS texting directly. I'm going to provide a script for that too, in which you can use email clients or email mailers to actually send text messages to phones through my script, or through any emailer for that matter. And the really cool thing about it is that they all inbox. Unlike these huge anti-spam organizations that have all these particulars in place to block your emails, SMS is sort of an untapped area or world that I really want you guys to hop on, because it's not going to be around forever. We've got a couple years at most before they start implementing the same technologies for blocking emails that they do with blocking text messages to phone. And I'm going to show you a script, give you a script that I created in which you can guarantee a hit on a phone number regardless of the provider if you don't know the provider. That is the cellular network that supports that number. So that's in the future. Use this information I've given on hacking CBAN, on compromising mailers at your own risk, and have fun.